Question: how much time do you think I get to narrate battles / take them in a work week where I work over 40 hours a week on a regular basis? The answer is not as much as I would like to, which is a damn shame because I'm actually getting a lot more breed stock going on. I actually just filled up 2 PC boxes, which means I have over 60 things that I can use at the moment to mix and match and make some teams and battle some people with. But I figured, hey, you know what? If there's anybody that can appreciate a random assortment of 6 Pokemon, it's Cap. Every time I battle Cap, he brings a random assortment of shit too, and somehow it just ends up working out in a way that is 9 out of 10 times never boring, always a good engaging time. So he has an Entei just because he wants to fool around with the fact that Entei now gets Sacred Fire, but he does not want to stay in and take anything my Weavile has to offer because it does in fact have a physical wall by the name of Furfrou. The ability on it is really cool, halves the damage from physical attacks, so when you do max HP and max defense, it's about as defensive as the bulky Giratina. Is that Giratina A or Giratina O? I think that's Giratina A. The one that has the feet, as opposed to the one that doesn't have the feet and the one that flies. But I'm sure we all know how bulky that thing is. That's about as bulky as Furfrou is on the physically defensive side. I do know that Furfrou is notorious for going for T-Wave, so I decided to go into the thing that wouldn't really necessarily care about getting T-Waved, which is my screener. It is a prankster. Freaking, what is this thing? Meowstic. So, I mean, the only thing that's going to outspeed me is another prankster or another priority move. So, I figure, hey, if I get paralyzed, whatever. But it turns out he went for a U-turn, which I definitely was not expecting. I don't know if he's in Assault Vest set. I think I might see Two-Wave later, so just completely... Oh, you know what? I saw lefties earlier. Carry on. I actually caught myself and remembered that. But I'm just going to set up screens because I don't know if he's going to want to switch up moves or anything like that. That Golurk looks sick, by the way. I just realized I don't have one of those, but they are a genderless poke, so I'm probably going to hold off on that for a little bit. For now, I do decide to bring in my Chatot because the damage after I set up the screen kind of implies that he might be banded, because I am a max HP Meowstic, and that still does way too much to handle. It's kind of a sketchy amount, so I figured, hey, I'll go into Chatot. I'll sub, and I'll see if he ends up switching moves, but if he switches Pokemon, then I get a free Substitute, I get a free Nasty Plot or Chatter by token, and I just get to go from here. So Chatter is 100% Confusion, meaning that if he hits himself on this turn, I keep my sub, and I'm able to go for a Nasty Plot and spam Chatters and Boom Burst, which are 2 fantastic moves that Chatot gets access to. I could put a third on here and just get rid of Substitute entirely, but I like the security because Chatot is a very, very fragile Pokemon, and I do believe that it does need the sub. I've made this a lefty set as opposed to a Life Orb set just because you're able to stay in there and just stall out Confusion turns and hopefully get enough for a sub again if things don't go your way the first time. So I get up a Nasty Plot right in his face because I call a Confusion on this one. It's not a very hard thing to do, but I figured, hey, you know what? You got to take risks every now and then because I had an inkling that he would not fall for Confusion on the next turn, which is a weird inkling to have, but just a gut feeling, and it turns out it forces a switch anyways. I think I ended up taking the bait and just going for the Boom Burst because it probably would have taken out the Entei from there. Doesn't affect him because he part Ghost. That's fine. I get to go for a Chatter on this one, and I don't think it takes him out, but I think he actually hits himself in Confusion. If I was Life Orbed like I previously was, then it probably would have taken him out straight. But it still does a pretty reasonable chunk. I mean, considering the base power on Chatter and Chatot's attacking prowess, it's not the best thing in the world, but hey, it kind of works out. And the damage he hits himself for... Oh, shit, that mic is really close. My bad. The damage he hits himself for with that kind of implies that he is Choice Banded, which is still a pretty cool thing to do with Golurk, but that shit hurt. So, I could have subbed again if I really wanted to, but I figured, hey, you know what? We'll get this going. And then it turns out he brings in his Go-Goat. I am going to go for the +2 Chatter, but Go-Goat is a very, very bulky Pokemon. The HP on it is fantastic. The defensive stats are nothing to write home about. They're not going to be top of the class, but you know, combined with the HP, they are very acceptable. And if you were to make a special defensive one, like I feel like he has here, it could definitely work out for you. And it turns out I just died to a Rock Slide, period. So I don't know if he's like Assault Vest or something like that. I think that's the only thing I really end up seeing from it. So I bring in my Charizard, and I believe I'm just going to Mega Evolve, and I don't think I DD because he has Rock Slide. He probably also has Earthquake, so I decide, hey, I'm just going to go for the Flare Blitz to knock him out because the odds of him actually being physically defensive are pretty low, and I'll probably take him out from there anyways, just being at half HP. So I think he brings in his Furfrou at this point, just because he knows he can take a physical hit. He is absolutely correct, since Flare Blitz now hits with a base power of, I believe, 60 before stab? Is that how that works? Or maybe it just takes stab into account and then just divides it afterwards. I'm pretty sure it's the same number anyways. I get the burn. This is not... I feel like this is mildly crucial, just because he does get some... I don't know. I really got to think about the next couple turns to determine whether it is, because the burn on Flare Blitz, first off, is actually pretty low, which is why it's pretty cool that Entei gets it, that Entei gets Sacred Fire, because you forego 20 base power in order to get a coin flip on burns, as opposed to 10% burn. You also don't get recoil off of Flare Blitz, so having Sacred Fire on Entei, that's actually pretty cool. Right there, he doesn't get another turn to headbutt me, and then he ends up... He ends up, I think, almost dying to the burn damage, or he just dies to the burn damage right now, I forget. But I don't think the burn ultimately ended up mattering, maybe? I gotta determine this. So, he brings in the Exploud. I feel like if he had gotten away with some Paraflinches, then, hey, you know what, maybe that could have mattered, because I would have had a different Pokemon in, possibly a different Pokemon to better handle Exploud, maybe my Weavile. The turns would have been a little skewed, but I think we're kind of getting near the end of the... Oh, I probably would have had my Metagross in at that point, you know, gone for Meteor Mash and gone for the attack raise, that kind of thing. It's an interesting thing to think about, but I think in the long run, I'm kind of just talking to myself, and it probably just doesn't end up mattering too much. So, Zen Headbutt doesn't do that much to this thing. On top of that, I missed the second one, which was not that crucial, but the Specs Claw Itzer absolutely wrecks my shit. Mega Launcher, boosted Dark Pulse, combined with... I don't know, just the massive special attacking stat of a modest one. And, you know, the Assault Vest is not going to save me. But I get to bring in my Shaman, and I know a Seed Flare is going to clean that thing's clock just because, you know, 140 base power. It's not even at full. I don't even think an Assault Vest would even be able to save you on that one, especially because it's a Life Orb Shaman. I figured it's a fun thing to run. I can go for the rest every now and then, just do that. But Exploud is a beefy little guy, and he ends up taking the Seed Flare with a pretty reasonable amount of HP left, and actually takes me out from there with a Specs Boom Burst. At first, it didn't make sense to me, but thinking about it, you know, hey, a modest Exploud with a 210 base power move after stab, I think could take out a lot of things, especially if you had a scrappy one. You could hit Ghosts on the switch in. It would be pretty devastating, so I think I'm probably going to have to get myself one of those in the future. Turns out Fake Out just takes this thing out stock, and I think all he has left is his Entei, which unfortunately I was not able to get enough damage on beforehand. Entei is a little bit bulkier than most other... I'm not going to say most other legendaries. I guess it's fair to say most other Pokemon. Bulky enough to the point that a Night Slash is not going to be able to take it out from a Jolly Weavile. And he's actually able to take me out with a Sacred Fire, leaving him with the 1-0 victory. So it was a little bit of pissing around with some fresh pokes, but I actually did enjoy myself during that game. I got to bring a Shaman. It was kind of cool. We got to bring some other stuff that I don't think I had actually used previously. I think maybe I used Weavile once before. Hadn't used Shaman, hadn't used Meowstic. Combined, they were a little bit of a disappointment, but hey, I got to use them, kind of got a better feel for them and how they work in this generation. Where they're niches, more or less. You learn a little bit every day by battling, so that's the thing. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, as always, I am absolutely loving the ratings that the past 2 videos have been getting. If we could keep that going, that would be just great. Yeah, that's wow. So I went from like 400 to like 2,000 on the last one I saw. Holy crap, can we outdo that? I got brownie points out the wazoo if anybody wants those. They're not really redeemable for anything, but hey, it makes my day. So if you enjoyed it, you can leave a like rating, comment, subscribe, do your thing. I have a little bit of material backed up, but I'm going to definitely do my best to get some more battles going on and just kind of go from there. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.